Hey everybody, this is Carl back again for another movie spoiler review of Ocean's 13, wrapping up the Ocean's 11 trilogy. And once again, directed by oh, Steven Soderbergh. You know, there's been rumors of a possible 14th or fourth uh, installment, but it's a little tough because all the actors are pretty much on board of returning. However, it's gonna be a little tough given the fact that Bernie Mac has passed away. But as long as Steven's up for it, everybody else is pretty much up for it, which is cool because you know everybody's movie getting like another resurgence, and all three films did pretty freaking well. Some might argue that the first two a little bit more better than Ocean's 13, but I like Ocean's 13 pretty fine. They all pretty much been like a even pace. I can't say. I mean, like the second one has like a little bit of a bump, but relatively all been like a steady like balance. Where it's like, oh yeah, I can watch this, and it doesn't lose its pace. So of course, a lot of the actors reprise their role. Clooney as Danny Ocean, Pitt as Rusty, Matt Damon, Linus, Andy Garcia, Terry Benedict, Don Cheadle, Basher, Bernie Mac, Frank Catton, Elliot Gould as Ruben, which, by the way, I never pointed out in the other two films I reviewed. Hey, a guy named Ruben, named after a fucking sandwich, very freaking weird. I always thought that. Uh, Also, I never bothered to even point out the fact that Brad Pitt, for the most of each of these installments, he's always eating something, which is like, it doesn't bother me, but it's something that people like pointed out, and it's like, yeah, he does always have something in his mouth, and you know, I'm amazed he's able to articulate his lines given the fact that he's eating on chips or an apple or shrimp cocktail or something. Um, uh, that's the third one. I'm blanking on it right now. But continuing on, we got Casey Affleck as Virgil and Scott Caan as Turk Malloy. Virgil and Turk Malloy. Eddie Jemison as Livingston. Quinn Sabo as Yin. Carl Reiner as Saul Bloom. Eddie Izzard as Roman. And but newcomers, we got Al Pacino as Willie Bank, the main antagonist here. Ellen Barkin as Abigail Sponder, his assistant. Vincent Cassel has returned as the Night Fox. Bob Einstein as Robert Bobby Cadwell. Uh, 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 FBI agent. Um, God, there's somebody else, and it's like, yeah, Julian Sands as Greco Montgomery. So, this movie begins a little tragic-ish, where all the people, at least the main Oceans team, come to Vegas under an emergency that Ruben is in the hospital because he had a heart attack. And they make a point to bring up that Tess uh, Rusty's girlfriend from the previous films, don't show up, hinting at this like, personal issues they're going through in their respective relationships. But Catherine Zeta-Jones and Julia Roberts express, the fact that they don't want to return to these films unless they had a more prominent role involvement. However, it's just the script in this installment could not, accommodate their wishes. So they had to be written out altogether. So no returning of Tess and uh, the Mark's daughter. We come to realize that since Ruben's only family is his friends, they all realize that, oh, this Banks guy who Ruben was partnered up with to, plan on building this big, casino in Vegas, because he's obsessed with making sure that, he has like a legacy. He wants to live to see like something big that, he can take pride in. But realizing Banks kind of muscled him out, it's like, he had a nasty habit of letting other casino guys muscle him out of deals, because it happened with Benedict and now it's happened with Banks this time around. It's kind of like, this dude might just be a bad businessman, despite him knowing things like stock markets and stuff. So while he's bedridden, the Ocean's crew decides, like, we want to just hit this dude hard, because it's like he hurt our friend. But they decide to adhere to the rules of the thief world, whereas they give these kind of weird names for heist movements and battle strategies for heist and stuff like that. But there's one particular thing that they called, I forgot what it was, but it's pretty much like give this guy a chance to set things right, then there'll be no ill will. So Danny goes to talk with this guy while he's while Banks is in the construction site building this gaudy building, which, by the way, you see the final finished product of this big building, it's as it rises up, as twisting as it rises, it seems, as you walk, you see like the inside of the building, it structurally, it doesn't make any freaking sense how it looks that nothing is twisting to make it make sense. This whole structural integrity of this building does not make any sense. I know architect, but it just looks very stupid. Anyway, Banks completely like rebuffs Danny. It's like, hey, if Ruben was too dumb or too weak to see what was going on, then he deserves to roll over and die. So this dude completely has no like morals or empathy at all. So now, and here's another thing, it's like, he should like really like plan out something where it's like, okay, like these guys might retaliate, so I better like at least know. He should have done his due diligence. The fact that there's a chance this guy might retaliate. Let me figure out everything about Danny, so that way I can prepare for any type of retaliations on his part. But he doesn't, because I guess emphasizing his arrogance. So Danny calls in Roman because they're stuck, because they got pretty much everything else handled in terms of rigging certain things, getting one of them to go to the manufacturers to manipulate the dice before it gets to, because in Mexico, before it gets to the US and Vegas, so before it can be used in the building, because it's heavily monitored. Everything's pretty tight. So everything seems to be in order. Even the fact that these this reviewer, because Banks is like a 5-diamond 5th award winner of all these major casinos that he owned in different parts of the world, at least 5 of them in different parts of the world, this being the 5th. crap, I just lost my train of thought that quickly. Uh, Banks, uh, each one like has like a reviewer from the review board to come to check it out, because it's kind of standard for a certain, like it's kind of like having like somebody going to the restaurant and reviewing the food, and you give those letter A's or B's or whatever in front of the building, you let them know it's like this is like a decent place to come and shop or eat at or whatever. A hotel will have something similar, and so they doing this gambit on this guy where he'll have an awful time in this place to give Banks like a horrible review, but this move also will end up with him winning like $11 million, and that's how the move will end, with him winning like a bunch of money, because like they put him through a whole lot of hell in order to get him to hate work coming to this hotel and experience all this back crap. Anyway, so they explained to Roman the only thing they got stuck on is this Greco machine, which he explains that the guy who invented it is an old schoolmate of his, who is pretty much designed it to pretty much be the ultimate detector, even down to detecting. It doesn't have a brain. It can reason too. It can monitor pupil dilation and body temperature, things like that, to test whether somebody is anticipate them gonna get something out of a random outcome, a supposedly random outcome, or it's a legitimate she is a legitimate surprise. So to prevent like cheating in Banks's hotel, and it can't be hacked into or anything like that. The only thing they could use against it is called like a magnetron, which is like a real thing where it can disrupt a powerful it can disrupt electronics, even something as big as this machine, but only for 3 minutes. Therefore it will automatically shut down, because without the magnetron, if it detects any possible cheating, it notifies everybody. It shuts down a particular spot, so that way it can stop anybody from trying to gain the system. So now they had to figure out how to get like a magnetron in this bunker area where people monitoring the casino floor. It results in because Banks is looking forward to this gold cell phone. That's where they put this magnetron inside, so Banks will carry it on himself. So once he gets to the this bunker area to monitor what's going on, he will get a call. It'll activate, very spy level stuff, so that way it'll shut everything down. That's the thing it'll do. But along the way, they have to cause a bit of disruption. So they use this drill in order to get underneath the building, so they can like cause an evacuation. But that's where they end up getting like a hiccup, because they put all their money into everything else up until this point. Now it's like, okay, we're pretty much stalled. But Linus comes up with the idea of asking Terry Benedict for the money to get like a new drill once the one they got broke down, because they didn't have no money themselves to find like a new drill or even to fix the one they have. So Terry explains to them like, don't screw with me, and I'll fund your drill, because he doesn't like Bank. He doesn't have any taste in like his building, cast a shadow over his pool. You know, very rich people problems. So, and whatever money they gain, he wants a portion of that as payback from the money he had to fund for the drill. And he will monitor them so to make sure they don't end up like try to pull a fast one on him. And he wants them to try to steal the 5 diamonds. And if you ask why the 5 diamonds wasn't already on the table, well, because they realize it's very hard to get. It's in this impenetrable case, and they can't just walk out of there. And only 2 people have access to the room where these diamonds are at. It's Banks and what's that? His assistant's name? Sponder. So they come up with the idea of having Yen pretend to be this kind of high roller from China and Lance as his assistant, wearing this big prosthetic nose, which he's on the phone arguing with his dad about how it plays and doesn't play. It's stupid as hell. And he still acts like a whiny teenage boy, bigger than his parents. It's so like it's juvenile. So he uses kind of, you know, not perfume, but like kind of like a cologne where it has some kind of concoction in it, where it's kind of like pretty much make whoever sniffs it kind of loopy. And it gets, you know, once she smells it, it gets her to lower her guard down, and you can pretty much like, you know, all intents and purposes, like manipulate her into getting them into a more private room, which she figures like, okay, I'll just go into the room with the diamonds, which you could have gone anywhere in this building that could possibly be a better spot for privacy, but she just immediately just jumps to, okay, we'll just go to the room with the diamonds in it. But then Ruben eventually comes out of his you know, bedridden state, and then they meet up with the rest of the crew in this hotel casino. So now, after a just ignorant time with the brothers dealing with the situation in Mexico, trying to cause some big revolution because of crappy wages in this factory, and eventually they finally got it, so that way they can get things moving along, so they can get the dice they need to help rig things. Which, by the way, they use this kind of polymer they put into the mixer that form these diamonds, so that way these little lighters, they can flip, you know, to manipulate the dice. When you see these dice, when they manipulate it, it's so done the way like it lingers before it completely do a last roll, and it's like nobody, you know, says anything because that's pretty freaking obvious. And I've seen, you know, people who worked in casinos talk about scenes like this, and they say like when the when people in that surveillance room, everything shut down, they wouldn't have like everything connected to one server, so where nobody can get out to stop what's going on. It'll be on a separate server altogether, so if something happens, they can still get out and put a stop to things. This kind of ordeal, I don't know, it's like, yeah, that probably would make sense. It's like, as I did in the previous Ocean's 11 review, which you can check out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl. I went over like a series of real life Las Vegas robberies from casinos, and only maybe like a few have gotten away with it, and one out of that few actually come back and turned herself in after she made a clean getaway to the Netherlands after stealing loads of money. But yeah, it is a thing. Uh, anyway, so once they first get the drill to like nudge the foundation a little bit to, you know, you know, freak people out just a little bit, just to uh, get uh, uh, Banks into the surveillance room. Uh, and that's where they give him the call so they can have him answer the phone. So that's when, ironically, there's another earthquake, a realistic one, that forces everybody to evacuate the building. But not before as Linus and his FBI agent who shows up after, because earlier Sponder called to have an FBI agent that she knows to check on the backgrounds of this supposed Chinese high roller and his assistant. And he shows up, shows that, you know, he took the, Linus took the diamonds and everything like that and walked him out. And in the elevator, it turns out like this guy is Linus's dad. And while they spend like a minute arguing about the prosthetic nose and how dumb it is, and oh, it plays, nobody cares. They go on the roof because Rusty already set up these little anchor points for Basher to come in on a helicopter to hook up underneath when an explosion about to happen, to let loose the cage where the diamonds are in so they can lift it up. Here comes the Night Fox, showing up completely camouflaged against the wall, and shows up with a gun in hand to steal the diamonds from Linus. And he tosses him the gun, shows it is completely empty, and jumps off the roof, parachutes down. But that was completely all a ruse, because those were fake diamonds. They never really managed to get the diamonds out of those cages, because they couldn't, at least not in the time crunch that they had. So Banks walks out, and because he can't get everybody to run back inside. And here's another thing, even though they have to run out, some of those people only had poker chips. They have to go back inside this building eventually in order to attempt to cash them, because they're useless in any other casino. At least that's what I think, because they should have like the label of the hotel it came from. So you can't just get casino chips from the MGM and go to something like the Bellagio to cash them. It doesn't work like that, from my understanding. So most of them have run out with no legit cash. So it's like, you know, he's trying to rush everybody out, but you know, some of those people have to come back anyway, because not everybody already cashed out their chips at that point. And it's funny, you see like that bruiser from like the previous two films, one pretend like to be like Frank's lawyer, getting him out of the prison cell in the end of Ocean's 12, but the same bruiser who pretend to beat up Danny in Ocean's 11. It's nice this dude just, you know, kept showing back up for like just unexpected moments. It's like this dude just keeps showing up, and it's like I kind of love it, because he's just like that same dude in like Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's like, my cabbages. He's one of those type of guys who just shows up, and it's like I kind of like it. So Banks is threatening Danny for this revenge trip here, and he's telling like, I know people and they know how to hurt people in various ways. And Danny's like, well, I know the guys that you'll probably send out to me, and they like me better than you. And you're not going to go to the cops because, well, let's face it, you're not going to go to the cops because obviously most of what you did was highly illegal, and like you'll have to confess all that, including, you know, cheating somebody out of the deal, causing them to have a heart attack. You will be landing in jail. So now Banks is bankrupted, especially after he sees like a helicopter fly off with his diamonds, and also Night Fox sees this, and he's just like once again just baffled at the fact that once again Danny one-upped him. So he's once again butthurt. Danny eventually shows up to speak with Terry Benedict to confront him about the fact that the Night Fox just happens to show up, but he knew that Terry would have pulled a fast one. So while he had Night Fox spying on us, we already had somebody spying on him. So the money that they was gonna give back to him, they donated it to this orphanage, these orphan kids, and which he will have to be, you know, invited onto the Oprah Winfrey show, which was kind of like something that was playing on Danny's TV earlier in the film, to so the orphans can truly express their thanks, because the amount of money he gave was just like completely outrageous. $72 million to the charity under Benedict's name. And I love this line, and I every once in a while kind of quote it, where Terry Benedict says to Danny, "Do you think this is funny?" And Danny is like, without missing a beat, "Well, Terry, is sure as shit ain't sad." It's like, I love that line. Awesome line to go out on, because George Clooney is a freaking treasure. So then it ends with everybody going their separate ways. The real reviewer, because they replaced it with Saul, and he's the one that they, Banks and Spawner was cozying up to this whole doggone time. So the real reviewer wins $11 million in slots, thanks to Rusty, and that's where the movie ends. Oh, and I remember what I wanted to talk to you earlier. Ocean's 8. I mentioned in the previous review that, it didn't live up to the same status as, as love as the previous Ocean's films, but it turns out it did all right. It didn't like actually suck. And from what I understand, the actors did probably have some chemistry. I don't know why, I make it seem like they didn't like each other on set. I'm pretty sure they had a definitely good time, but it just, I don't know, probably hit different. And, I don't know, the opening box office of that weekend when Ocean's 8 came out was decent, but I don't know why they had to be Ocean's 8. You couldn't make it a 11. I guess because you wanted to separate yourself from the all boys team type of thing, but whatever. As you kind of shorten it yourself. I don't know why. But anyway, that was Ocean's 13. I've been wanting to cover all three of these films for the longest time, for at least a good darn near 2 years, and now I fit it in here right now through the whole Thanksgiving month, because it's about like camaraderie and friends, family, being together, and like the Ocean's gang is pretty much like family. I don't know if I ever will want to review any of the Fast and Furious films. Maybe the first 5, because after that I pretty much stopped watching the Fast and Furious films, because now they've just gone pretty much really stupid and up his own ass, and just for no inexplicable reason. But yeah, maybe if you guys put in requests for me to review those films, I will put it in the immediate listing to actually do it. But anyway, yeah, that was all 3 Ocean's films. Each one's is very fun for its own particular reason. Very, relatively self-contained, except for a few nods here and there from what happened in the previous films. But yeah, it was really fun. Highly recommend you checking out Oceans 11 through. It's technically Oceans 1, 2, and 3, but they call it 11, 12, and 13. So just watch Oceans 11, 12, and 13. Check it out for yourself. You'll have a good time, especially if you love heist movies. But yeah, the next movie that I want to cover for the month of November, for Thanksgiving review month, is the Incredibles films, part 1 and 2. So look forward to that next week. And I already put out my comic book review of Kang the Conqueror, the miniseries of Kang the Conqueror, which should be on my YouTube channel fairly soon. For you, in case you missed out on that, you can check it out there. And it's like I forgot to even do this when I was reviewing it, but I love when Jonathan Majors like do this whole "I am Kang," and just like I love that. It's like just his acting chops is phenomenal. But anyway, I'll see you all in a little bit when I'll play some Overwatch 2 for you guys. So if you haven't already, follow me here on twitch.tv/targetofcarl, and chat with me while I start going ham on some Overwatch. So I'll see you all soon. Oh, and in case you don't know, I will be doing like a live streaming of the Game Awards show on December 7th. I'll be making a night out of it. Give me a small pizza and give me like some alcohol, maybe like a wine cooler or something, and making a night out of it, watching the show and giving my overall thoughts of the entire thing. So yeah, if you want to join me on that night, that'll be on like a Thursday on December 7th, and we'll have a good time checking it out. So anyway, take care. I'll see y'all a little bit later. Peace.